How about some deadly high-stakes gaming action? Our protagonist is a guy named Akira. He's a genius, but more importantly, he's a gamer. Every day he defects people in games, but is mostly bored of his life because school and everything is just too easy. He's bored because nothing in his life challenges him enough. Now, one day he's on his way to school, he comes across a rather suspicious-looking man. It's not Halloween yet, and this guy is covered in bandages from head to toe. This guy chases after Akira, but Akira just takes him to an abandoned building and then pierces through him using a pole. That's it. He won against, well, whoever that guy was. But this is where a sus cat girl named Mion appears, and as it turns out, the mysterious guy was her subordinate. But what is she here for? What's she plotting? Well, next thing you know, she shoots him dead with her cannon. Yep, our protagonist is dead. At least, allegedly. We see doctors operating on him, and then when he comes back to his senses, he finds himself in a large room with all kinds of funny-looking people. It's not a normal place. The cat girl pops up again and tells him that all of them have been registered dead. They no longer have to worry about going back to society, and all they have to do is to participate in an experiment. A series of games, if you would. Kinda like Squid Games? Exactly like Squid Games. Someone tells her to cut the crap, but then she shoots him dead right in front of them all. She then also explains that the cannon in her arm is her ability. All of them have their own unique abilities. In fact, the intention of the program is to test said abilities. And as you can guess, they have no choice but to participate. The first game is one-on-one. Our boy Akira has to fight against the hot-headed guy named Kitasaki, and they have to fight in a school facility. When the fight begins, Akira evades Kitasaki and runs into the science room. Kitasaki follows him and corners Akira. He tells our boy to just give up. It's over for him. You see, Kitasaki is under the impression that Akira ended up with a weak ability, while his own ability is the power to turn wood into blades. Yeah, pretty cool if I must say so myself. However, he's wrong. Akira's ability isn't weak. In fact, it's far too strong. He tells Kitasaki that his ability is something he's already seen before, which confuses the guy, but he plunges forward to attack Akira anyway. Well, that's when Akira shoots him with the same hand cannon as Mion. What does that mean? Does our boy really have the same ability as the cat girl? Well, not quite. Actually, his ability is Sophist. Basically, whatever the other person thinks his ability is, that actually ends up becoming his ability. That's why when Akira told Kitasaki that he's already seen his ability before, Kitasaki might have been under the impression that his ability is the hand cannon, because that's the only other he's seen before. Mion is excited to see how Akira will handle these games, and for what it's worth, she also refers to him as her sweet prince. Now, don't get me wrong, getting called the sweet prince is probably the best you can do as an anime character, but Mion is simply just too sus. Meanwhile, Akira's goal is to make sure that the cat lady comes to regret choosing him to be a part of this experiment. This ought to be interesting. Now, after Akira, the next fight features a girl named Yuri. We see a bit of her past. She was mentally, physically, and emotionally abused by her mother. Her life was hell. Still, she grew up, and then in high school, when she helps out a nice guy, he turns out to be a little bit too obsessive. He started stalking her, and when she avoided him, the guy decided to go and commit die. Yuri sees him trying to jump off the roof, so she comes to the rescue, but just as she grabs him, he jumps. And yeah, the guy takes her with him. The nice guy really thought that the two of them were soulmates, and that's why they should die as lovers. What a sick joke. Anyway, that happened, and now Yuri's part of this experiment. Who's her opponent for the first game, though? And oh no, her opponent looks like your average Discord mod. Please just run away, Yuri. His ability is that he can literally sense his opponent's state of mind and body. And what's the first thing he does with that ability? He senses that Yuri is a pure maiden. He immediately drops his shorts and runs towards her. Ugh. He somehow manages to get a hold of her and then starts telling her about how he'd hire young prostitutes and then kill them. As she struggles, he also tells her how he can sniff her anger and disgust oozing out of her body. Seriously, this man's just straight out of the old bastard memes. However, when this anger becomes too much, she completely destroys him with a punch. It's not a fight, it's not even a massacre, it's just a girl taking out a half-empty bag of trash. So this begs the question, what is her ability? Basically, it's strength enhancement. Whenever she uses it increases her physical capabilities by 5 times. Later, when the first game is over, and all duels have ended, Akira is taken to a room. There are 4 other participants already there. We have Kitasaki and Yuri and 2 more. They're told that the second game would be a 5-on-5 team battle. Of course, the group starts talking between themselves and they also share their ability with each other, but Akira lies and says that his ability is the hand cannon. So when it's time for the second game, it's revealed that although it's 5-on-5, it's not actually a team battle. Every fight will take place independently. The first one who has to fight from Akira's team is the corporate worker. As for his opponent, it's an office lady named Rin, but I'm sure you guys can tell as well, she's not someone to be underestimated. He looks straight out of Kakegurui. When the fight begins, she tells the guy that she doesn't want them to fight. That's why if he simply surrenders, he can do whatever he wants with her. She says in a very tempting and seductive manner, but the corporate guy still manages to stay sane. He tells her that it's not a bad deal, but he'd rather they just decide the winner through a coin toss. However, when he tosses the coin, she penetrates him from behind with several sharp blades. It happens too fast, and not even Akira could make sense of what her ability could be. The next fight is between Kumagiri from Akira's side and Ringo from the opponent's side. Ringo's ability is that she can copy the other guy's ability, which is obviously insane. The copy guys are always overpowered in every anime. The thing is, she can only copy her opponent's ability at 1/10 of its effectiveness, which means it'll only be 10% as effective. Of course, this also allows her to actually get data on her opponent's ability. That's why when she learns that Kumagiri's ability allows him to become unbreakable for 2 seconds, she bails. Yep, she surrenders. Even if she copied his ability, it was only going to last for 0.2 seconds, so what's the point? The next one who fights is Kirisaki. His opponent is a random girl whose power allows her to throw marbles that then transform into boulders. But too bad, Kirisaki easily dodges them, even slices one, and then tells her to surrender or she will die. Unfortunately for Kirisaki, she still had one more marble on her. It rolls right under our boy, transforms into a massive boulder, and clashes with his marbles. I want you guys to press F in the comment section. F for Kirisaki's marbles. The girl wins. Moving on, it's Akira's turn. His opponent looks like a wuss. Akira tries to summon the hand cannon, but it doesn't work because his opponent wasn't under the impression that his ability is the hand cannon. That's why he turns toward Kirisaki and tells him that he's going to shoot him. This makes the hand cannon manifest in his hands, but when he uses it on the wussy guy, it gets blocked. Turns out he can create a shield by touching the ground. The wussy guy then starts fantasizing about the girls on his team and how they'd want a piece of him if he wins, but Akira casually pulls it behind him and tells him to get his hands out. And that's it. Akira wins. Finally, it's Yuri's turn, and guess what? Her opponent is the same obsessive guy who made her jump with him. As you can expect, he's excited by how they're still ending up together. So excited that he's hard as steel. But Yuri's strength was still too much for him. She punches him so hard he flies out of the ring and straight into a wall. This concludes the team battle, and since Akira's team had more W's, they win. The winners get to eat a feast while the losers have to dress in a bunny girl costume. Later, Akira's team disbands because the second game is over. Akira holds Yuri's hands and tells her that he hopes to see her again, which flusters the blonde lady, but while the goodbye may have been cute, it's awkward because they come across each other again and right when it's time for the third program. There's also a guy named Katsuya, who introduces himself as a member of Team Green, which means they're on the good side. He takes them to the team's base, which is pretty much a village. There's people farming, carpeting, and just living in harmony. The team's leader is an old guy named Shigarasi Yuto. He explains the difference between the green team and the red team. The green team values equality, while the red team is led by 2 guys who treat everyone else as their slaves. Suffice to say, they are dangerous. And for what it's worth, Rin, the fan service, is a member of Team Red. Obviously, Akira and Yuri have to join a team too, or they'll not survive, and so, after Shigarasi explains things, they decide to join Team Green. But they'll have to share the same room because there's not enough space. Later, when they're in the room together, Akira tries to learn more about Yuri, but he goes about it in an unusually intelligent way. First, he convinces her that his ability is actually telepathy. When she believes him, he becomes able to talk to her telepathically, and just like that, he finds out all about her. This also makes Akira realize that this girl is trustworthy, and so he finally tells her his true ability, Sophist. Moving on, they have to fight the same kind of bandaged monsters as the one who attacked Akira in the beginning of the story, only this time he can use both the hand cannon and telepathy. The others believe he can use the hand cannon, and that's why he can. As for Yuri, she wants to continue talking to him telepathically, and that's why he can continue using telepathy. The top members of the team of Red are also there. They're observing how Team Green fights, as well as what abilities they possess. Team Green's leader, Shigarasi, was being discreet about his ability, but when a massive ghoul shows up, he's got got no choice but to use it. So what is his ability? It's Mediator. It's about conducting peaceful negotiations with the other party, but the way he uses it is by redirecting the ghoul's attacks back onto him. However, the ghoul immediately regenerates. Akira tells Yuri that they're going to defeat the next ghoul, but first, they need to find another spot, otherwise Team Red will figure out his true ability. Then, just as the ghoul attacks Akira, he telepathically tells Yuri to switch his power with her own power for an instance, and this allows him to endure the attack. He then shoots the ghoul in the mouth with the hand cannon. This catches everyone off guard, but the ghoul still doesn't die. Well, this is where Hajime from Team Red kills the ghoul with a single punch. His ability is the same as Yuri, except for the fact that he's already built like a Baki character. So on top of already basically being superhuman, he can multiply that power times 5. Scary, to be honest. He easily blocks Yuri as well. The guy really wants to fight Akira, Yuri, and Shiroyanagi at once, but Mion stops them and tells them about their next quest. It'll be called the King of Hunting. To win, you have to get the king's smartphone and then connect it to your own phone. Sounds simple enough, especially since there are no rules. Everything goes. I say it's basically chess, but with some extra steps. But Messiah from Team Red has a condition. They'd participate if everyone on the losing team is executed. The battle will begin in 10 days. We go back to Green Team's base. They treat a lot of Team Red slaves of their horrible injuries. One of them is Ringo from the second game. There's also Kumagiri. He saved one of them and was escorted here. He wants to join the Green Team too. Subsequently, Akira practices his ability with Yuri in the forest. He wants her to imagine him as someone else. She does. She imagines him as Ringo, and it works. As for Team Red, their strongest members are ready to fight in the upcoming quest. And not just that, there's also a spy from Green Team who tells them that Akira's true ability is not the hand cannon. Remember this, it'll be on the quiz later. Remember the spy. Soon, it's the day of the battle. Shiroyanagi Yuto is Team Green's king, while Hajime is Team Red's king. Since Shiroyanagi is still injured, and because it's unwise for the king to stay out in the open, he hides with a few other members. But what about Hajime? He doesn't hide. Instead, he starts beating everyone senseless. Meanwhile, Akira comes across Rin. She's still in her oddly lewd pajamas. What does she want, though? We learn that she's actually helping out both teams. That's why she doesn't care who wins as long as it's her at the top. All in all, Team Red is dangerous indeed. Their strongest members are defeating members of Team Green left and right. This makes Akira feel a little anxious. You see, he's always played and won games on his own, but now he's a member of a team, he has no clue about the outcome. If you play League, you know what I'm talking about. Doesn't matter which game you're playing, the teammates are always garbage. Yuri, on the other hand, saves someone from Hajime. She fights him, but what can she do against a man made out of pure CGI? It's hopeless. Then there's Kumagiri. He's fighting some bartender guy whose abilities like Doflamingo's string fruit from One Piece. He's easily able to slice Kumagiri's hand off. This is followed by a brief flashback. We see how he and his brother shared a passion for boxing, but they were caught up in an accident. His brother died, but he lived thanks to his brother's organs. Next, we see his brother's spirit manifesting behind him. He tells Kumagiri to stop holding himself back. Sure enough, Kumagiri uses his ability, the Unbreakable, for 2 seconds and completely destroys the bartender. Going back to Akira, he comes across Kidasaki. Turns out Kidasaki joined Team Red just because he wanted a rematch with Akira. He corners him until Akira's back is to a tree, and just when Ryuji, a swordsman from Team Red, jumps downward from a tree to kill Akira, Kidasaki intervenes. Even though he and Ryuji are on the same team, he doesn't want anyone else to kill Akira. Believe it or not, this was actually carefully planned by Akira. He worked with Rin to work out a situation where Ryuji and Kidasaki are on the same area so that it can make them fight each other. The fight starts, it's Akira and Kidasaki versus Ryuji, and while Ryuji can handle the hand cannon, he wasn't able to handle Kidasaki's blades. He dies. Following this, another strong member of Team Red approaches Akira. He reveals that he already knows the hand cannon isn't his actual ability. Akira pretends to panic and runs, but the guy chases after him. Akira stops and shows him Ryuji's sword. This frightens the guy. He literally stops moving because of the shock. If Akira has even killed Ryuji, could it be that his ability is to copy others? Or so he thinks. Still, his imagination was enough for Akira to use Ryuji's ability to end him. Though, what's going on at Team Green's hideout? They actually had captured one of Team Red's spies, but when they found out that the spy was murdered when they weren't looking, they figure out that there's another spy. Well then, who is it? It's the old lady. She looks like a cartoon character, but her actions aren't cartoony at all. She holds a baby hostage and tells them that she would kill the baby if Shirazaki doesn't hand over his phone. Shirazaki asks her why she'd do this, and she reveals that she's actually Hajime and Masaya's mother. After seeing that she was dead serious about killing a baby, he throws the phone and lets her shoot him. That is right, guys, Team Green lost. Now they'll all die. But hey, what's this? When Masaya calls the cat girl to confirm his team's victory, she tells him that Shirazaki wasn't the king. Hold on, what? Just as he's on the phone, Akira approaches him and states that he is the real king of Team Green. Still, Masaya was prepared. A stupid number of Team Red's slaves surround Akira and capture him. So is it over? Masaya walks up to him and reveals that he has carefully calculated everything up to this point. It was also that Akira could be right in front of him at this very spot, and he could penetrate him himself. He says this as he stabs Akira. Bro thinks he's Aizen. So dumb. First, Akira pretends to die, but then smiles. He starts talking and reveals that it was actually him who manipulated everything. He explains that the spy was him. He used shapeshifting to infiltrate Team Red. He even knew that Masaya would try to finish him off himself. Now, as Masaya appears shocked out of his wits, Akira uses Shirasaki's ability to counter him. Going back to Hajime, he's defeated all of them at this point. Every single one. Kirisaki and Kumagiri also show up to help Yuri fight him, but they all lost. The man is just too strong. Hajime realizes that he is too strong and starts crying. He recalls his past, how he met Masaya in an orphanage, and how they wanted to create their own kingdom, but they were beaten for having a silly dream like that. The one who would beat them was the headmaster. The old lady was also one of the caretakers at that orphanage, but she couldn't do anything either. However, one day, Hajime smashed and destroyed the headmaster. Back to the present, Akira shows up in front of Hajime. In a swift flashback, we see Akira practicing Saitama's ability with Yuri. He tells her to keep imagining that he has the ability to end anyone with just one punch. And that's exactly what he does on Hajime. Serious move. Serious pun. I can't. He hits him with a Saitama punch. It's so strong that Hajime's entire life flashes before his eyes. Team Red's king is defeated, and the cat girl congratulates Akira on Team Green's victory. In the aftermath of the first season, we see Akira waking up on his room back in modern-day society. He meets up with Yuri, who gives him a nice and warm hug. So what's going on? What's the future after the third game? You'll have to read the manga to find out, my friend. And as for the story so far, what do you think? Come on, let's talk about it in the comment section down below. And that is the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you at the next one.